In a small seaside town, nestled between a pine forest and a silent bay, lived Martha. She was 35. A librarian by profession, she resided in an old house inherited from her grandmother and began every morning with a cup of green tea while waves whispered outside her window. Her days passed quietly, books, silence, the rustle of pages, and occasional conversations with visitors. She had grown used to the calm and had long accepted that true love was something from the novels she shelved, not from her own life. But one rainy evening, while sorting through old books in the library basement, her hand brushed against something unusual. Tucked between the pages of a dusty bird guide was a letter, a real paper one sealed with red wax. No return address. She carefully broke the seal and unfolded the page. Inside, in familiar handwriting, it read, "Martha, if you're reading this, the time has come. Do you remember that day in the fog? You weren't meant to return, but if you have, find me where we last saw the sun." A. Her heart clenched. Just one letter. A. And a flood of memories returned. Anthony, her first, and perhaps only, real love. They had met when she was 17. He was 5 years older and had come to the town to photograph wild birds for a research project. Reserved, a little quiet, with a camera slung over his shoulder and a gaze that seemed to see through her. They quickly grew close. They would walk through the woods, sit by the shore, and talk for hours. He opened the world to her, showed her constellations, taught her how to read footprints in the sand, and captured her laughter on film. She fell hopelessly in love, and then he vanished. One day he simply didn't show up. A week of silence, then a short phone call. "I have to go. I'm sorry. Don't ask why." And that was it. She cried that morning as fog wrapped around the town and promised herself never to wait again. And now this letter in her hands, 18 years later. She couldn't sleep that night. The next morning she went to the place he'd written about, the old lighthouse where they had last been together. It hadn't worked in years, now just an overgrown path and crumbling stairs. The air was damp, and the shore was draped in thick mist, just like before. She stood in silence, peering into the white haze, and was about to turn back, when she saw a figure, a man in a light coat with a camera over his shoulder. Him, as if no time had passed. A little older now, with gray at his temples, but unmistakably Anthony. "You came," he said quietly. "It was you." "The letter?" she asked. "I wrote it years ago. Hid it in that book, knowing someday you'd find it." They stood in silence. Only the sea whispered in the distance. Her mind raced with questions, emotions, anger, confusion. "Why?" she finally whispered. "Why did you leave?" Anthony looked at her with the same gaze that once held all the stars. "Because I had to. I couldn't tell you then, but now I can." And he told her everything. His family had become entangled in a dangerous affair. Something about debts and threats. He was forced to disappear to keep her safe, and he never forgot her. "I couldn't come back, but I stayed nearby. I lived close. I came to the library sometimes, just from a distance. You were watching me? Number, I just needed to know if you were okay. I didn't want to destroy your life by coming back." They walked for hours, watched the sea. He showed her old film rolls he'd kept, her smile, street lamps glowing, the fog rolling in. The evenings felt like old times. But as adults, time weighs differently. The space between wanting and being able grows longer. On the third day, he said, "I have to leave again, but not in hiding this time. If you tell me to stay, I will." Martha looked into his eyes. "I don't know. That's okay. If you're unsure, meet me here in a week. Same place. In the fog. If you come, I'll stay. If not, I'll leave for good." A week stretched like a lifetime. Doubts consumed her. Fear gripped her. What if she opened her heart again and lost him a second time? But on the seventh morning, wrapped in mist, she rose and knew. Not going meant losing him forever. She went, but he wasn't there. Only his old camera rested on a rock. and a note. I left because I believed in us. If you truly believe too, you'll find me. In Paris, where we once dreamed. I'm waiting, Martha. She stood still for a long time, then smiled through tears. A week later, she bought a ticket. 2 years passed. Paris, a small cafe on Montmartre. Martha reads a book, sipping black coffee. Beside her, Anthony. His hair is grayer now, but his eyes are the same. They live modestly, rent a tiny apartment under the roof, speak of books, and photograph birds again.